Alright, so what we're going to do is we are going to create a website today. We're going to do it with WordPress, Ubuntu, and AWS. I'm going to try to keep this as short and sweet and to the point as I can because I want to get it done and I've got a lot of stuff to do before class. So, let's get into it. So first things first, you're going to want to register for your domain. You may have already done this, but basically you want to go to Google Domains or more simply, when you sign up for AWS, you can go to Services and Route 53. Route 53 is Amazon's offering for domain name service hosting. So you'll have to use them to forward your domain no matter where you get it from if you're going to host to them. So why not do it all in one place? You can click here and register for your domain. Register a domain, pick your name, and basically just type it in here like this is my first site 12345.com. Check it. Look at that, it's available. You know what's not available? Something like johnsmith.com is not going to be available. Right? So let's go through here. Yeah, so it's unavailable. Now you can change your termination of your website here. Some are going to have specific requirements. For instance, you can't use a .org unless you're a nonprofit. You can't use .gov at all. You can't use .edu unless you're a college. So you got to look at that wisely. But basically, pick your name and then register for it, and then you're going to bounce back to Route 53 anyways. After that, you're going to have to go in and you're going to have to host it. But first we have to actually build the host for you to point to it. So once you register for your domain name, I did mine on Google and it caused me a little bit of a headache in the long run, but for having a physically accessible site it's fine. Mine is schmidtfit.com and it points to my Amazon server. Great. I registered for it. We're going to go back here and we're going to go to AWS services again, and we're going to go to EC2. Now, if this is your first time using AWS, you've never used it before, so when you go to EC2, I guess I didn't click that hard enough or it's taken a long time. Bear with me, I've been using the crap out of EC2 today. You're going to see 0 running instances. I have 2. My old web server, which I messed up, and the backup that I attempted to use. Both of those are useless to you, they mean nothing. So, you're going to click this big blue button here that says Launch Instance. Then, when we get here, what's important is you click Free Tier Eligible. We're going to go with Ubuntu because it is currently the most stable operating system to run your WordPress website on. So, we clicked on that, and now we're going to make sure that T2 Micro is the selected size. This is the free version. We're going to go to Configure Instance Details. Now this is important. You want to make sure you check this here and enable Auto Assign Public IP Address. That is going to allow us to actually find the web server once we get it up and running. So everything else doesn't really matter, except if you want to protect it against accidentally being deleted, do that. You won't be able to delete it accidentally. It's probably a smart decision, honestly. We're going to go next. Add storage. You don't need to do anything here. You don't need to do anything here. And then the last stage here is important. This is your web server security group. So we're going to rename this to WordPress Security Group for future reference to make it a little bit easier to find. And then SSH is how you're going to control this web server. That's already set up. We're going to add a rule. We're going to go down here to HTTP. That's so anyone else can access your website. We're also going to go in here and we're going to do HTTPS. That's so anyone using a secure browser can access your website. So now that you've done that, those ports are now going to be opened on the web server automatically. We're going to review and launch. This is going to tell you, hey, your web server is open to the world. And you know what? That's fine because we're doing this for a project, and later on down the road, you can beef up security. So this is the overview of it. We're going to hit launch. Now, super important step. This is where you set up the keys to your web server. In the most literal fashion, they are your keys. You lose them, you can't get on your web server, you can't control it. I have this website here that I can't do anything to because I lost the key to it. So that's why I'm redoing mine today. So we're going to go through and we're going to create a new key pair. You're going to name it and you're going to hit download. So I'm going to call this key pair, please don't lose this key, and hit download. I can't emphasize enough, don't lose this key. Back it up, put it on a thumb drive, put it on like every cloud storage thing you have. Do not lose it. But don't give it to your friends either because they can totally destroy your website if they have this. So it's going to download the PEM file here, and we're going to hit launch instances. You're going to get a message that says they're launching, and then we're going to go to EC2 by clicking on this block up here and clicking EC2. Then once we're on EC2, you'll be able to see the running instances again, and this is the one we just launched. Ignore the other three. Right, so they are hosting. Now this lists right here what your key is. For you guys, for you guys it doesn't matter what your key is named. For me, I've got several keys because I lost my AWS 1 key, and that's causing me to have to redo this. So don't do what I did. Learn from my mistake, save yourself a huge amount of hassle in recreating a fully functional website. So it is now going to be pending. Takes a second. I've created like 3 boxes today. So there it goes. It's running. We're going to click on it. We're going to hit connect. Now, what we're going to do is SSH, which is secure shell host, into this box. And in order to do that, we need to use this key and a terminal. If you're on a Windows computer, you're going to have to look up how to use PuTTY. I don't know how to use it, but I heard it's easy. So what you're going to do on a Mac is or Linux computers, you're going to go to terminal, or in my preference, I use iTerm. I like the colorway a lot better. It's a lot easier to see things. So we're going to open iTerm here, and right now we're in my directory, as we see with Andrew. So if we ls and list what it's in the directory, it's going to give you all the stuff you can see. Now we're going to want to change to where we downloaded that key called, at least in my case, please don't lose this key. So I'm going to change to my desktop and hit enter. Now if I ls, you'll see all the crap that's on my desktop. And what we need to do is change the permissions on that file. So we're going to do chmod 400, please don't lose this key, or whatever you named it, and hit enter. You're not going to see anything pop back though after that because that's just how the terminal works. So now that we've done that, we've changed the permissions on that file, and we can go through and connect to the box. So they give you this here, your address with the key name filled out. Copy it, save yourself some time typing, paste it in the terminal, hit the enter key. It's going to go, hey, we don't know this site. Do you really want to do this? Absolutely. When everything works out, we're going to see Ubuntu at IP address. We see that here. So this is your web server. You're in your web server right now. At the top it tells you the load percentages. So we're using 0.16 of the system's full resources. That's expandable later if it turns out to be a problem. We have 9.9% of 7.4 or 7.74 gigs being used. That's going to change drastically when you start uploading stuff to your WordPress site. You might have to add more space. For right now, it's okay. So now that we're in the Ubuntu box, we're going to do a few things. First, we're going to update the box. So we're going to do sudo, which is super user, apt-get, can't type today, sorry guys, update. It's going to do a bunch of cool looking stuff. What it's doing is downloading all the update packages and bringing your web server up to date with all the new offerings from Ubuntu. You'll see done and you'll be back to your root again. So after that, we're going to do sudo apt hyphen, not equals, apt-get install WordPress. It's going to say you want to install this from the internet. Say absolutely, do it. Once again, it's going to do a bunch of hacker looking stuff, as my friends would call it. And basically it's going out and it's downloading. This is what a download looks like. When you see that little file go to the bottom of your web browser, this is actually what it's doing in the background. But we're going to be done here. So that installed. Now what we're going to do is we are going to install MySQL. This is what's going to run the database for your WordPress server. So we're going to do, once again, sudo apt, I do this every time, apt-get install MySQL hyphen server. Super important you put the hyphen server. If you just do MySQL, you're going to install the client version, and the client version is not going to do anything for your WordPress system, and it's not going to work. So sudo apt-get install MySQL server, enter. It's going to say you want to install this. It's from the internet. You're going to hit yes. Boom. You get this big pink screen. Don't freak out. This is exactly what you want. So it's asking, what do we want our password to be for the MySQL root user? And for the sake of it, and this is a terrible, terrible practice, I'm going to do, just kidding, you don't see it, so that's perfect. Set the password you want. Don't forget it. Try to keep a capital and a symbol and some numbers. So that's mine, and it's going to ask you to repeat that. You're going to do that, and then it's going to finish the install. Haven't done that in a while, and I thought that it was going to actually show you my password. That's going to happen later anyways. Oh well. So the cool thing about those keys that we created earlier is no matter what, you're still going to have a secure system even if people see your passwords. Don't go around telling everybody though. So MySQL is now installed, and WordPress is installed. We can check the service Apache, which is going to be your actual web server. So give me a minute here. We're going to do a few things. We actually want to update that and do Apache 2. So we're going to do sudo apt-get install Apache 2. And we don't have to worry about it. It's already there. Cool. Let's check a few things here. Bear with me. Alright, sorry about that. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the Apache web server system is running. So, we are going to do, where do we go? Sorry, this is, yeah, so service Apache, right. So, we're going to do sudo service Apache 2 status. It's running, that's great. So we have our web server installed, we have WordPress installed, we have MySQL, the database, installed. The next thing we have to do right now. But now we have to set up our database for WordPress. So we need to go to MySQL. And to do that, we are going to do MySQL user root. This is what we set up on that pink screen. And then password. We're going to enter. Then it's going to ask to enter the password. And I'm going to type in my password. You're going to type in the password you set up on that pink screen. So now we are in the MySQL terminal, and what we're going to do for that is we're going to create a database. So we're going to type in create database WordPress and semicolon, enter. Query OK. So that means we just created a database. Now we're going to do create user. Create user, WordPress user. And we're going to do this at localhost. That means the user's on this web server. And then we're going to do identified by by password. So the password is in single quotes, not double quotes. So identified by, and this is where I'm going to type in WordPress password. Super secure. Don't do this. Use one with a letter and letters, numbers, alphanumerics. Make it secure. For right now, WordPress password is the password. So we're going to hit enter. It's going to be like, hey, what the hell? Well, sorry. We're going to have to hit a semicolon and hit enter. Once again, now we have created a user just like we created a database. Now, we need to give that user all privileges on the database. So, we do grant all privileges on WordPress. WordPress dot asterisk to WordPress user. Can't type today, guys. At localhost. We're going to do semicolon again. Do it. Query OK. So now that user has all privileges, and then we're going to finalize this. Flush privileges. This basically grants them all the privileges and then closes it out. I don't know. You want to look up flush privileges, be my guest. So now we're going to exit. We're done in MySQL. And we're going to set up WordPress. So WordPress is installed. Oh, PHP. We totally forgot about. I totally messed this up earlier. Sudo apt-get install PHP 5 GD. And then we're going to do libssh2. That's got something to do with a specific library. I don't know. Over my pay grade. So it's going to go through, run all that crap, and when it's done, it's going to give you your terminal back. So that's done. PHP is installed. PHP is what WordPress runs on. That's important. Now we're going to set up WordPress. To do that, if you ls, it'll show you everything you have access to. Nothing right now. So we're going to cd to root, which is the grave, / WordPress. And I just messed up. Hold on. We're going to do this again here. Give me a minute. This is what Linux is all about, learning. So we're going to see. Oh, okay. So we have to change that directory first of all. There's nothing in the root directory. So we're going to do wget http://wordpress.org/latest.tar.gz. Boom. We ls, we now have that file. So we're going to do tar xzvf latest tar.gz. We just unpack that file. And if we do that, now we have WordPress. So we can actually cd root / WordPress now. And if we ls now, look at that. All the WordPress files that are incredibly important are now there. So now that that stuff is there, we can go and config our WordPress. This is where we do some more fun stuff. So we're going to go cp wp/config/sample WP-config.php. and then we're going to hit enter. And it's not right for some reason. Oh, I did CD instead of CP. So CD is change directory, CD or CP is copy. Sorry. Bear with me. Oh. .php. There we go. So that happened because if we look here, we have sample.php, and then we also should have config.php. One above the other. So, and you see them right here. Sorry. So now we're going to edit those. So we are going to do, I like to use Vim. If you have a preferred text editor, feel free to use it. But we're going to do sudo vim WordPress config.php. This is your config file. So I'm going to expand this out a little bit more. And what we have to do is we have to go through here and define the database stuff from MySQL. So to do that, come down to the define line, the first one here that says DB name, hit I. That puts you in the insert mode, allows you to edit the text document. Take the cursor over to the second quote, empty out that red text that says database name, and then we're going to type in WordPress, I believe. Should be. Yes. Good. So then we're going to come down here to username here. I'm going to do WordPress user. This is where we did the whole localhost WordPress user at localhost thing a minute ago. Then we're going to do password here. You're going to enter your password. I'm going to enter my super unsecure WordPress password. You guys be taking my password. So that is the stuff you need to change. Everything else in here is good for right now. You don't need to change anything yet. This is all, this whole define secure auth key, stuff like that, we're going to come back to that. But for right now, hit escape. That's going to take you out of insert mode, and then you are going to do :WQ. So that what that means is that's going to be command right quit. Hit enter. If you didn't sudo when we went to enter that a minute ago, you're not going to be able to do that. So make sure you sudo that. That is something very important. It's going to save you a headache down the road. So now we need to move the files, and we're going to use rsync to do that. So we're going to do sudo rsync -av capital P grave WordPress / space, and we're going to do var www.html. This directory here at the second port here, this var www.html, that's the root of your Apache web server. If you were to put an HTML file there and host it, you'd be able to host any kind of web server you'd want there. But it wouldn't be WordPress, and it'd probably be ugly unless you have a lot more experience than I do. So that's important. We're going to hit enter. It's going to copy all the stuff out of the file or the directory we were just in, and then it'll give us our terminal back again. So once it's done that, we're going to change directory to var www.html. Hit enter. We can ls, and that'll show us that we're in that directory and that all the files are there. And then we are going to do, we're going to change the ownership of these to the user. Yeah. So in order to do that, let's do who am I. Your username is Ubuntu. Great. So you're going to do sudo chown, that's change owner, r, that means to all the files below it, or recursive if you're technical. Type Ubuntu, and we're going to do : www-data space asterisk enter. That just changed ownership of all the files in the directory to your user, particularly Ubuntu. So now we're going to do ls-la, And if you look here, you'll see everything except for that root right here is owned by Ubuntu. These are the permissions here. Feel free to Google how to do Ubuntu permissions. We don't need to worry about it right now. But there they are. That's all there. So now we're going to do a new directory called WordPress content uploads. So we're going to mkdir, which is make directory, and then we're going to do var www. My buddy's on his way. That's cool. HTML WP-content uploads. Enter. I made mine wrong. Now I made mine right. So if we ls and then we change directory to WordPress content, WordPress content. There's two of them in there. Should be upload and uploads. I am going to remove upload because I messed up. Sudo remove upload. This is irrelevant to you unless you type something wrong. Doesn't matter, leave it for right now. I'll come back to it later. Don't name yours wrong. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the web server, and then from there we have to change the ownership of that folder we just made to the same person that we used before. So we need to go through and change the owners to the web server. So we're going to do sudo chown incoming text message. Here we go. See what he says this time. Maybe not. Basically, we're going to change the ownership and go to the same directory we did before. Like I said, you don't need to know exactly what you're doing for every single step. This is introductory. Uploads. That worked. Cool. So, that's done. And now, technically, it should be working. So one last thing we're going to do is we're going to change the root directory. We're going to do sudo service Apache 2 status. It's running. We're going to do that same command with reload. You can also do restart. Restart might have been a smarter choice. I think we're going to be okay. Double check with status. It's running. So the IP address of your box is this 172 probably, but what it also has is a public IP address, and that's much more important. So if we come over here, back to our web browser on our main computer, not the terminal, close this out, and go to the address we were given, which is probably going to start with a 54. You're going to basically take that address and punch it in a new tab. So in my case, it's going to be 54.213.255.205. Boop, enter. So, what does this mean? This means that our web server is running and accessible to the world. What it doesn't mean is that WordPress is acceptable or accessible. Something's not right. So, let's try this. WP admin. Cool beans. So, I'm not going to lie, my fingers were crossed there. Sometimes that doesn't work. If so, you got troubleshooting to do with what's called PHP. But that worked. What is this? This big W right here means that our WordPress server is running. Freaking awesome. So, now, site title, whatever you called it, we don't want to do that. That's my 6+2. So, in this case, my site title is www.schmidtfit.com. My username is going to be my email. Actually, we'll do my 6+2 so you guys can see that in case you guys have any questions. My password is none of your concern. And even though it has a capital, a symbol, and 3 numbers in it, it's going to think it's very weak. Confirm the use of weak password if you're lazy. And put in your email address. So there you go. Search engines can index the hell out of this. I don't care. Install WordPress. Go. So, yeah, save password. We're going to log in. And for me, I'm going to have it remember me because it's mine, and I'm going to be here pretty much every day writing a new blog post. But this right here means you have created your website, and that is incredibly important because that means you've created a web server from scratch. If you have no prior web server creation ability, congratulations, you've done a lot more than some people who are making $30,000 a year are doing. The difference is they know what they're doing. But it's here, it's running. So now you can write blog posts, customize your site by clicking here and changing the colors and whatnot. This is all you, but it's here. So now what's mega important is we take this address up here, right here. We need to spin around and make sure that is directed to by EC2. Last major step. So ignore this, this. So we're back in the EC2 console. We're going to take the mega long name of our web server, which is EC2 whatever at Amazon AWS.com. It's also listed right down here. I'm going to highlight it here. Right click, I'm going to copy it. Then we're going to go to, in my case, I'm going to Google Domains. You might have to go back to Route 53 and punch this in. But we're going to basically edit it, paste that in. Alright guys, what you see here is the gist of the blog. This is the home of it. This is a test post. This means my blog is functional. And where we ran into problems at the last part was I was trying to get the web server to automatically propagate the homepage when you punched in your custom URL. So, for instance, schmidtfit.com should take us to that. There we go, raw website, right? So there's one last step we have to do, and I had to figure out what that was. So when we're in our terminal here connected to the web server, we need to be in the root of the Apache web server. So you see here, for www.html, we are here. If you look up here, we have index.html. That is that Apache page you see when you punch in your web server's address or your DNS address that you registered to your address or your server. So, we do one last really important command. Please don't type it wrong. You're going to do sudo rm index.html. Now, I already typed it here, so mine's going to fail. See, no such file. After you do that, all you'll have is index.php. That's going to be your actual blog. The HTML file here is the default for Apache. We don't want that. Now that that's gone, you can go back, refill in your URL that you registered, hit enter, boom, shakalaka, you have your that's your blog. That's gonna if I'm 100% certain, get you credit. This is here. You're gonna have to go in and do a bunch of customization with it, but it's here, so you can navigate around it, and it should detect that you're editing it from the same computer you were on prior. Since I was logged in, see. If it doesn't, what you can do is you can do your web address. So mine is schmidtfit.com. Please don't DDoS attack my site. We're going to do / and then you're going to do WP-admin. This is going to give you the WordPress admin login. I'm already here, but if we go and I log out, this is what it would look like when you logged in. So this is it. This is the gist. And just for the heck of it, now that we're logged in, you can go in and do things like go to appearance, go to themes, select a numbered theme. I know Professor Nelson really prefers numbered themes because they usually have the most support. For example, I'll activate theme 2014. You can go in and customize it, and it'll actually live customize it to what your site looks like, which is pretty sweet. This is the theme I used on my last WordPress website, and I've got a lot of customizing to do. I got a lot of photos to upload and actual content to add, but this is the gist. It is here and it is running. Alright guys, so that is it. That is the gist of making your own WordPress blog. Thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good day.